'Cause I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man. Across the deserts bare, man. I've breathed the mountain air, man. Of travel I've had my share, man. I've been everywhere. Been to Tullamore, Seymour, Lismore, Lullaby, Nambour, Rochester, Kilmore, Rillaby, Birdsville, Limmerville, Wallerville, Connemara, Connemara, Strathrown, Proserpine, Alladala, Darwin, Gingin, Nilliquin, Muckilla, Wallamilla, Bougainville, Cumberland, Ramacilla. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man.
Lucky Star, he's been everywhere, man, but we rarely hear him say the name of a town that's where we're going to. And today we're going to South Australia, and we're going to say g'day there to Katharine Crane. Good morning to you, Katharine.
Good morning.
Now, you've got Neil. Rob's just stepped out to let a visitor into the building, I believe. So you got me for the time being, but he'll come back in a moment. Thanks for joining us on Regional Roundup. Well, we asked this question, the hard-hitting journalism I promised you yesterday. Where's Kapunda?
Kapunda is an hour north of Adelaide. So it's actually closer because now we have a wonderful Northern Expressway, but we're still classed as regional.
So a lot of people would think north of Adelaide and they would think of two words. One starts with B and the other one starts with V. That is to say Barossa Valley. Is that where you are?
We're not quite. We're kind of like the poor cousin of the Barossa Valley, but we have a lot to offer.
So a lot to offer without the tourists coming out having had far too much to drink.
Well, yeah, we do. We do still get them. We're probably, we're only about like 15 minutes from Greenock or Nuriootpa, and it's literally a hop, skip and a jump. So we're kind of right smack bang in between the Clare Valley as well as the Barossa Valley. So we get the best of both worlds.
So what do the good folks in and around Kapunda do? Presumably they're not growing grapes like your friends over the valley.
It is a mixture. So we are, considered mid-north, so there's a lot of grazier. There's a lot of cropping, but there are a lot of amazing little businesses that have popped up over the last few years as well. So I myself am a social media marketer, and we've been living in this town for 8 years now. But, we've got a wonderful fruit and veg store, and, that literally has fresh fruit and veg that comes in every day. Unlike the supermarkets that goes off the day you bring it home.
Sorry, we just got some static on the line there. I thought you said something about supermarket fruit and vegetables, but we may have missed that.
I think I didn't hear anything from me. But we've got some amazing cafes, and there is a lot of some really great local events that happen that do bring some tourists through and help raise the economy for the area. So it's not. Then there's still lots to do, even though you kind of don't think about it. And it's also the oldest mining town, and also, if you're into it, the most haunted town in Australia.
There you go, getting into the spirit of it, as it were. So we had a thing in Victoria called COVID-19. I'm not sure whether you had that in South Australia, but what we found was a lot of people saying, I don't need to live in the city anymore. Was Kapunda a little bit of a destination town for people like that who thought, don't need to live in Adelaide anymore. Kapunda's now out of town. I'll move there.
There has been quite an uptake in properties being sold and bought, and there is a new building estate that is getting underway as well. And when it is literally 1 hour from the CBD, it isn't that far of a stretch. If you were living in Sydney, that 1 hour would actually be is nothing to most people. Some people are travelling 3 to get there. So it is quite a good destination where you still got that small kind of country town vibe, but you're not isolated.
Katharine, Rob Cameron here. That part of the world, the agricultural part is a wonderful part. Not far away, the world changes a lot. You get up into the Flinders Ranges. It's almost a line across the land, if you like, where it goes from lush and green to a little bit deserty. But it's just beautiful, beautiful country. And I was saying to you off air how I think South Australia as a destination for a holiday is really, really undersold. Do you sort of take your unique little world for granted a bit, or do you still appreciate the beauty of it every day?
I think at times we do take it for granted, but it is we are very lucky in what we have to offer in our state. Like I said, where we are, we're literally in between both Barossa and Clare Valley. If you're into the wine, it's not that far for us to, go down York Peninsula, or go down to Adelaide and spend a day down there. So, and there's always in the Adelaide Hills, like we've got so many little different destinations to go to that you can have day trips as a family, or you can actually have a holiday if you're coming from a different state and experience a whole heap of different things. And it is an amazing space, and that's not even mentioning Kangaroo Island, which is another fantastic place to go visit.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of it. You made a very good point there. If someone said, well, we'll go for a week, to go and lob somewhere near where you are, even if it was in a cabin in a caravan park, or to take a caravan yourself and drive out. But you could go to 5 or 6 completely different destination day trips and have completely different experiences without needing to drive too far from where you sit, because Adelaide has still got an essence of a big country town. It's a beautiful city. And then a little bit further north, Wilpenna Pound, for example, is an extraordinarily beautiful place.
Yeah. And, I think you were talking about, that line. I think it's called, off the top of my head, Goiter's.
That's it.
Line.
Goiter's line. I was trying to think of it, yes.
Yep. When he was saying, I'm like, it starts with a G.
Yeah.
So, and it is that you kind of literally cross there and you feel like you're in a different world. And it's just about slowing down and appreciating all those different nuances that our state literally has to offer. And you don't have to travel too far to experience something new, which I think we're very lucky in.
I think I'm right in saying that the LGA immediately to your north is in fact called Goiter.
I think you're correct.
I did some research for a podcast some time ago, you understand, Katharine, and I found that Burra is the seat of that local government. So you're saying get yourself over here and have a bit of a look around by the sound of it.
I think, it is. I mean, we do have our rivalry between Victoria and South Australia.
Oh, yeah.
Which is bizarre because, you guys are nowhere near as good as us, so I'm not really sure why the rivalry exists. He says, throwing that down the phone line.
Wait, no. It is, it's... I think we are kind of a little bit go under the radar some of the time. Because we don't maybe, bang our chests quite as loud as the eastern states.
I think one of the things that South Australia has going against it from a tourism perspective is there's a lot of South Australia where there's not much to see, and there's just that sort of corner where you guys are, that whereas in Victoria, you pretty much can't drive out of somewhere where, there's always stuff to see because it's so compact. I think that it's sort of, who wants to go to South Australia and see red dirt? I think there's a bit of that going on.
But we don't have that much red dirt.
No, but that's how, if you say to a lot of Victorians what goes on in South Australia, they think about drinking wine and lots of red dirt. And they don't consider I'm going to use the word density, I mean that in terms of population, not anything else, you understand.
No, they're delightful people indeed. Love my time in South Australia, but the rivalry it's deep and it's intense.
Yeah. Or caravans even, not just tents. Katharine, we had better let you go and do what you were doing at 10:15 on a Saturday morning, because it was 11:15 here because we're half an hour ahead of you. But thank you for being part of Regional Roundup. It's good to have a chat and tell us about Kapunda. I used to work for an organisation that had a branch in Kapunda, and everyone used to call it Kapunda, and it used to drive them insane.
Yeah, no, we are a little bit precious.
Well, for starters, you don't take things for granted. You're taken for granted, I noticed earlier, but that's just a South Australian thing, isn't it?
Well, we do speak the Queen English.
Yeah, which again shows how out of date you are, because we speak the Kings over here. But anyway, we will let you go and we will talk to you another time.
I look forward to it. You guys have an amazing Saturday and try and stay warm.
Thanks, Katharine. Katharine Crane over in Kapunda in South Australia, joining us for Regional Roundup.